Korean friend, why don't you eat pupusas with your hands? It's interesting that some Salvadorans might feel offended when they see someone not eating pupusas with their hands. But as someone who has already offended many Koreans in Korean society, I have no fear even if I appear that way. In Korea, you're supposed to follow what elders say, but I've ignored many of these social norms. This is especially severe in places with strong peer pressure like high school, and since I attended a boarding high school, it was even stricter. You had to bow your head when meeting seniors. But I didn't do that because I thought there was no difference between us except for a 2-year age gap, so I didn't conform to this culture. Eventually, I was called to the bathroom by the seniors. According to some Salvadorans who criticized me for not eating pupusas with my hands, this would be due to my lack of respect for Korean culture. But let's think about what culture is and what it means to learn culture. If you ask me whether I like culture and want to learn about it, I always answer, of course, because that's the correct short answer. However, if I were to answer in more detail, my response would be somewhat different. When comparing cultures with other cultures, culture is something good to learn because it's about accepting differences and diversity and expressing creativity from those differences. However, when we talk about our country's culture within our society, culture here means adhering to the social norms of that society. Simply put, a society's culture is thinking and acting the same way because other people think and act the same way. What helps you break away from the collective thinking of our culture, thinking of your culture, is learning about other cultures. Because being surrounded by a completely different environment takes you out of your comfort zone. That's the value of learning other cultures. And therefore, for me, learning culture means breaking away from my old self. I was always a rebel in Korean society. Throughout my life, Korean society has always picked fights with me, and I've responded to Korean society's provocations in kind. Nevertheless, I've been influenced by many aspects of Korean culture, and I learned other cultures to break my rigid cultural framework. In other words, I'm learning Salvadoran culture to break the Korean cultural framework and be reborn as a new me. However, this doesn't mean you must follow everything in that culture because culture is collective thinking. You should be flexible enough to use other cultures to break your framework, but you don't need to follow everything in that culture under the guise of respect. I'm a Korean influencer dealing with covering cultural content. Many people think influencers are here to satisfy their followers. This is completely wrong thinking. If influencers blindly pursue follower counts, they will lose themselves. To me, an influencer is someone who lives their life more independently than others and inspires and influences others by sharing their life. That's my definition of an influencer. So I won't do something to satisfy followers to gain fame quickly. Rather, I hope to become a smaller influencer who lives following my own values. This doesn't apply only to influencers. You don't live to satisfy your family or friends. You should live to satisfy yourself with your own values. This life rule is universal and cannot be stolen by others. If others tell you to do things that don't suit you, that's noise. You should filter out this noise, follow your values, and live your life. In that sense, you should use the power of learning other cultures to break your rigid thinking. But while recreating yourself this way, you should maintain your core values. If some things sound good to you, adopt and accept them. But if some things are useless to you, you don't need to follow them. If you only like K-pop and Korean dramas, but dislike following elders' words, you can ignore that. There will always be people who criticize you for not respecting culture. They are simply noise. Don't allow this noise to interfere with your life. Remember that you should maintain your core values while making changes to some aspects of your life. Follow the path you're most confident in. Know who and what you are and have clear thoughts and motivation about why you live and exist in this world. You don't live to satisfy family or friends. You live with your values for your life and your own shining world. Don't be afraid of losing family or friends. Remember that people who matter to you won't care about such things, and people who care about such things don't matter to you. My friends worried that since Salvadorans take good care of me, it wouldn't be good to offend Salvadorans by not eating pupusas with my hands. But the funny thing is, the people who care for me most don't care whether I eat pupusas with my hands or with a fork or with chopsticks. So don't worry, people who matter to you will always be by your side no matter what values you choose in your life or what path you follow, because it's not about pupusas, it's about what you want to choose and how you want to live your life. God bless you. God bless El Salvador. Do you want more content like this? Firstly, just by watching my videos until the end, you help me a lot. That way, TikTok shows them to more people. Next, join my Telegram group, Fans de Julian, where I share my new videos first. Lastly, if you really want to support me, you can subscribe here on TikTok for just $10. Every little bit of support adds up and helps me keep creating content like this. Thanks so much. That's all for now, baby Julian.